Okay, good afternoon, morning, good night, whenever you're watching. This is the video for lesson 1-3. Our learning target for this lesson is I can raise a power to another power. Okay, this next part is not in your notes, but let's go over some vocabulary here. Okay, let's say I had a 2, okay, and I raised it to the 4th power. You know what? Let me change that. Let me make that to the 3rd power. All right. So the 2 is a base, and the 3 is an exponent, and that's vocabulary we've already talked about. The whole thing together is called a power. Okay, 2 to the 3rd power, the whole thing is called a power. Now, what we're doing in class today is taking that 2 to the 3rd power, putting parentheses around it, and raising that to another exponent. And what this actually means is we're going to take, here's my outside exponent, it's a 2, so I'm going to make 2 to the 3rd powers. With a times dot in between. Then I'm going to expand each of these exponents, each of those powers, to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And what we end up with is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2's. My goal is to get you from here to here without writing out the expanded form. Okay? That's my goal. Well, let's see. If I had originally a 2 exponent and a 3 exponent, a 2 and a 3, and my ending exponent is a 6, and my base stayed a 2, let's see, how could I get the 6? Well, 2 times 3 is 6, and that's how you do it. You multiply the exponents and keep the base. So if I were doing another problem like this, say 5 to the 4th power all to the 3rd power, I'd keep the 5, and then 4 times 3 is 12. If I was doing 7 to the 8th power to the 5th power, I'd keep my 7, and then 8 times 5 is 40. And that's how we do power of a power the shortcut way. Okay? I'm pretty sure you don't want to write out 47s to figure out that it's 7 to the 40th power. So going back to our notes, all right, how do you do power of a power? You multiply the exponents inside the parentheses the same as the outside exponent. A shorter way of writing that would be to simply say multiply the exponents. Okay, so doing this first problem here, 7 to the 2nd power all to the 4th, keep the 7, and 2 times 4 is 8. Now the next few problems are going to have an extra step to them because they are going to end up with a negative exponent. So let's do the first one. We're going to have a base of 3 that we'll keep. And then negative 2 and positive 3 are the two exponents. So that makes us have an answer of negative 3 to the negative 6th power. But with negative exponents, we'll make a little note of it here, negative exponents make fractions. Okay, so we got to take this an extra step. Equals a fraction bar, 1 on top, and 3 to the 6th on the bottom. Notice that the 6 went from being negative to being positive, and that's because we made the fraction. All right, 10 to the negative 2, all to the 3rd, same exponents again. 10 to the negative 6th, but we got to make a fraction. 1 over 10 to the 6th. Three. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So 1 over 3 to the positive 8th power. And then this last example, keep our 2. Negative 9. 2, oops, excuse me. Make our fraction 1 over 2 to the 9th power. Absolutely nothing changes just because you have a fraction or a negative base. Okay? The only difference you're going to see is that we said in class that fractions have parentheses around them and negative numbers have parentheses around them. Okay, so when we answer this, my 2/5 has to have parentheses because it's a fraction, but then 3 times 4 is 12. 3/7 has to have parentheses, and then 2 times 5 is 10. 1/6 has to have parentheses, and 5 times 3 is 15. Same deal with negative numbers. Keep the negative 5 in parentheses, and 3 times 2 is 6. Positive exponent, okay? I don't want anybody to think, oh, negative, make a fraction. Nope, that's only negative exponents. That's a positive exponent, we don't make a fraction. Negative 4 is my base. 3 times 5 is 15. Negative 2 is my base. Keep it in parentheses. And 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? Okay. This next part has a couple different ways we're going to express our answer. First, we can go right in the calculator and express our answers as a final answer form or standard form. Okay, and I'm going to type exactly what I see as far as symbols right here. So I'm going to type an open parenthesis, the 2 key, the times key, the 3 key, the close parenthesis, the caret, and the 3. And if you hit equals or enter at this time, you should get 216. This one, again, I'm going to type the open parenthesis, the 4. There's a button on your calculator that has an x squared. Okay, you can use that, or you can type caret 2 if you want, but x squared will make the little 2 there, the exponent 2 there for you, times 5 caret 3, close your parenthesis, and then caret 2. And you should get 4 million. That is, again, standard form. Okay? If we were going to do exponential form on these, then it's kind of like the distributive property that you probably learned last year. So you keep your bases the same. Okay? This first one has imaginary 1 exponent for anything that doesn't already have an exponent. So then you're multiplying the outside exponent by all the inside ones. So 3 times 1 would be 3, and 3 times that one would be 3. And that's your exponential form. The next one over here, my bases are 4 and 5. My outside exponent is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 3 is 6. And again, that's my exponential form. How do you know how to answer? You read directions. You have to read directions. Okay, so this last one we're going to do both ways. If we're doing final answer or standard form, we're going to type in parenthesis 1 caret 3 times 2 caret 4, close parenthesis, caret 3. And we get 4,096. If we were doing exponential form, my bases are 1 and 2. The outside exponent of 3 multiplies this 3. And 3 times 4, oops, that should be a 9. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 4 is 12. So that would be my exponential form. Okay, so let's take a look at the homework. First of all, I want to point out that the directions say write your answers in exponential form. Okay, so that means that, all right, we're not going to have any final answers. We're not going to type any of these in. Okay, so if I'm doing number 1, keep my base. 2 times 2 is 4. If I'm doing 11, keep my base. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. And then convert that 1 over to a fraction. 1 over 4 to the 6th power. Okay. If I'm doing number 4, if I'm keeping exponential form, I'm not just going to type this in and get an answer. I'm going to keep my base of 1 and 2, and then I'm going to multiply in the exponents. So my outside exponent of 4 will multiply times 2 and be an 8, and the 4 will also multiply the 3 and be a 12. So we're answering everything in exponential form. The other thing I want to point out is that we have a couple problems on here that we're going to call extra credit. Okay? Down at the bottom, we have problems 10 and 20. And 20, okay, and they are extra credit. So I'm going to give a little bit of a hint here for those of you who are watching. Keep in mind that there's an invisible exponent of 1 next to the 3. There's an invisible exponent of 1 next to the x, and the y has to the third power. So, just like we did up above, we're going to have our 3 bases, and just like we did up above, we're going to multiply 4 times 1, 4 times 1, and 4 times 3. That's all the hint I'm going to give you. This is not the answer yet, okay? But just because it's a letter doesn't mean that you do anything different. Okay? Lastly, number 21. Volume of a cube. The volume of a cube is found by raising the length of one side to the power of 3. Remember that cube means all sides are the same. So if this side is labeled 4 to the 7th, the height is also 4 to the 7th, and the width is 4 to the 7th. They're all 4 to the 7th power. Okay? So the intention is you're going to raise 4 to the 7th power to the power of 3. Why? Because volume is length, 4 to the 7th, times width, 4 to the 7th, times height, 4 to the 7th. Okay? So 7 times 3 is 21, or 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. But the bottom line is your answer is going to be 4 to the 21st power on that. Okay? Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and remember to turn this in tomorrow.